I'm somewhat of a town building fan. There's something so deeply satisfying about setting up production chains, managing resources, and then watching your tiny settlement grow into a thriving community. Whether it's coordinating trade routes in Civilization, building a cozy hamlet in Fabledom, or fixing gridlock traffic in Cities XL, I love seeing it all come together. The Wandering Village by Straythorn Studios offers a familiar loop, but one with a giant twist, because instead of building on solid ground, your entire village rests on the back of a colossal, wandering creature called an Onoo. And to survive the poison wastelands, you'll need to decide whether to work with the ancient beast or exploit it. What's it like? Prepare your villagers, grow some mushrooms, and roam the wastelands with me as we review The Wandering Village on Nintendo Switch. The Wandering Village is set in a post-apocalyptic world where the land has become toxic and uninhabitable. Humanity's last hope for survival lies on the back of an ancient creature called the Onoo, a towering dinosaur-like beast that roams the poisoned earth, carrying your village on its back. You play as the leader of a small tribe of nomads who've taken refuge on top of the Onoo, and what begins as a modest camp slowly grows into a self-sufficient town, sustained by your planning and the creature's movement through shifting biomes. As the Onoo wanders, you'll encounter other settlements, trade with passing airships, and uncover traces of a once thriving world. While there's no heavy-handed narrative, the world building is still rich, and the changing environments and narrative events tell a story of survival, adaptation, and the fragile relationship between humans and nature. Whether you choose to work in harmony with your Onoo or use it as a tool for your own means, the world responds, and so does the creature. At its core, The Wandering Village is a satisfying and thoughtful town builder. You'll place your structures, assign villagers, and balance food, water, and medicine while gradually evolving from a nomadic camp into a self-sufficient settlement. There's calm to its rhythm when things go well, but it never lets you feel truly safe. Every building you place has to account for a limited space on the Onoo's back, access to resources, and the ever-changing biomes that the Onoo travels through. Your workers will need food and have other needs to be met, and buildings can become useless if you run out of resources or if the land around you turns toxic. The constant movement adds a surprising amount of tension, because one moment you're basking in fertile fields and sunshine, and the next you're plunged into a spore-covered wasteland. I had one early run where I walked blindly into a poisonous cityscape, and the toxic mushrooms started growing on the Onoo's back. I didn't really know what they were at the time, and with my builders stretched thin, I couldn't get rid of them fast enough, and the poison spread into my berry farms. My tribe got sick, they started protesting, and I hadn't researched water purifiers yet, so my people were starving, and even the clean parts of my village couldn't grow food. It felt like pure desperation, and I was rapidly shutting down buildings and surfaces just to free up my workers to remove the toxic growth, one agonizing patch at a time. By the time the infection was cleared, half of my village was gone and my supplies were decimated. I thought about reloading, but instead I pressed on, and after another hour or two of gameplay, I had rebuilt the town into a thriving community again. It was brutal, but it was also a really rewarding recovery. But survival isn't just about your villagers. Your Onoo is more than just a moving map. It's a living creature that has its own needs and emotions. You can feed it, heal it, and issue commands with a giant horn. Over time, your Onoo will learn to trust you if you treat it right, and that relationship led to some of the game's toughest decisions though. In one playthrough, I saw the Onoo heading towards another poisoned cityscape, and it wanted to rest there due to its tiredness, but I couldn't let that happen because I didn't want to lose my village, so I used the command horn to force it to keep walking. Even though it was exhausted, it trudged on, tired and weary, until we reached a stretch of open water. While the Onoo swam, my village thrived because I'd built fisheries and saltwater treatment plants, so my supplies just kept surging. But below me, my Onbu's health was deteriorating, and we finally reached dry land again, and I used every resource I could to try and medicate and feed the Onbu before letting it sleep and recover. My town had flourished, but at the creature's expense. And that balance between village prosperity and creature care was never simple, and the Wandering Village expertly makes you feel every compromise. There's also a real freedom to how you treat the Onbu, and while the game doesn't judge you, it makes you feel it. You can nurture a peaceful symbiotic relationship, building trust and feeding it regularly, curing its ailments and avoiding harm wherever possible. And in return, the Onbu will follow your commands and go where you want it to go and carry your people to safety. You can, however, take a darker path. You can build spikes into its back to harvest blood, tear resources from its body, and force it into being obedient through corporal punishment. The Onbu then becomes a tool for exploitation rather than a partner, and that moral tension is a part of what makes a Wandering Village feel so distinct. The Wandering Village has a striking visual style that sets it apart from most city builders. The world and the Onbu itself are rendered in soft, detailed 3D, while the village structures and tiny villages are drawn in a distinct 2D hand-drawn style. It's an unusual combination, but it works brilliantly because the contrast makes your town really pop on the Onbu's earthy tones, and it gives everything a clean and readable look even when your village starts to sprawl. What really brings it all together is the music. Backed by beautiful woodwinds and tribal percussion, the soundtrack manages to feel both lonely and hopeful, like a quiet hymn for a dying world. It builds atmosphere without ever getting in the way, and it helps sell the emotional stakes of the journey. There's a subtle tension to the score, like a reminder that you're always one wrong step away from disaster. Performance-wise, The Wandering Village is a smooth experience across both generations of hardware. On the original Switch, the game targets 30 frames per second, and it mostly holds that line. There are some moments of slowdown where you scroll quickly across the map and zoom in and out rapidly, but it's minor and it never takes away from the experience. The UI is clear and readable in both docked and handheld modes, and I never felt the controls were fighting me due to its well thought out UI. You can use the D-pad to navigate to elements on the screen or a radial menu. Surprisingly though, there are no touchscreen controls present, which is a shame. On Switch 2, the frame rate feels silky smooth with no hitching or stuttering, even when the village is bustling and the screen is packed with detail. It's one of those rare titles that feels properly optimized for both systems, and that's easy to appreciate. Whether you're playing on the go or on the couch, it's a great experience either way. For my villagers looking into accessibility, you can scale the UI, but there aren't many specific accessibility options. So as always, I recommend further research to see if the Wandering Village suits your needs. At $45 Australian, there's a lot of game here. Whether you're looking for a more relaxed experience, hardcore challenge mode, or something in between, there's several modifiers and modes to challenge the player, which also result in unlocking some pretty unique skins for your Onbu. The biggest issue I have with the Wandering Village was my ability to put it down, or rather, my complete lack of it. More than once I sat down to capture just 5 more minutes of footage, only to look up and realise an hour had vanished. And that's the kind of game this is. It's quiet, immersive, and deceptively absorbing. The balance between managing your village and caring for or exploiting your Onbu creates a constant sense of purpose, and the survival mechanics layered across your journey keep you on your toes. Whether you're rebuilding after a disaster or riding high on a stretch of calm, the game finds smart ways to keep the loop addictive without ever feeling overwhelming. It's a genuinely thoughtful spin on a city building genre, and one that works beautifully on the Nintendo Switch. If you're looking for a town builder or just something different, The Wandering Village is a journey well worth embarking on. So, what's it like? The Wandering Village is like The Settlers, if they built it on the back of a dinosaur Tamagotchi. I award it a 90 out of 100. The Wandering Village is a What's It Like certified exceptional game. In the interest of full disclosure, a review copy was provided by the developer, but this doesn't influence my score. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out whatsitlike.com.au.